Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with Stephen Barone. Did I say that right?
Stephen, but yeah.
Oh, Stephen.
Yeah, it's all right.
PH. I always say Stephen.
That's
It's funny because one of my partners at work was a Stephen Barone, and I thought,
Oh,
at first when you reached out, I was like, "What are you pulling my legs? You're not into comics, are you?" So how you doing?
not too bad. Yeah, no, thank you for rescheduling too. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no problem. No problem. Yeah, just sometimes work gets in the way of things. So,
No, I hear.
so let's introduce what's going on. You got your own comic that you're working on, right?
I do. Yeah, it's going to be on Kickstarter. The sign up page is up right now, but it launches Saturday, February 1st. It is a horror comic with some comedy, so for mature audiences, but teens could read it too. It's issue 1's launching, so it's going to be the first issue of a 4-part miniseries. So it's horror. It's about sort of a class reunion that kind of the people that are part of the class are kind of a bunch of scumbags basically. And at this reunion, which none of them really planned, but they all sort of got invitations and they show up to it. They sort of get their comeuppance. They kind of
like Carrie.
A little bit. Well, kind of. They don't get necessarily. They get shown their past. They don't necessarily go back in time. There's an MC that kind of hosts the event that none of them know, and so he's a bit of a mystery. And he's kind of where some of the comedy comes in. I've kind of been promoting it as like an episode of Seinfeld directed by David Lynch. It's gonna.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's got some surreal elements to it. What happens is that he kind of presents their like past sins in these sort of like plays and sort of theatrics that happen in front of them, and they kind of relive their sort of like past sins as it's going on, and at the same time things happen within the audience to them as these sort of plays take place. But then as the issues go on, you kind of see the machinations behind the event, who planned it, and you get a background of the MC that hosted and what his deal is.
So this is your first comic?
It is, yeah. But I've been writing I'm in my 40s now. I started writing though in my 20s. So I've been doing mostly short stories for the last couple of decades. I've had pieces published in a number of literary journals. But that was kind of getting me nowhere. Not really, it's fun.
I got published while still in college in a literary review. I thought my poop didn't stink, and got me nothing. And when I tell people about it, I tell them specifically where nobody could find it. So I don't know if I got memory hold or what. So
well, yeah,
congratulations. Me and you with $2, we could get a cup of coffee while bragging.
Yeah. Oh, I've had pieces published just a couple of years ago, and they're already disappeared because the journals folded.
Yeah.
So that even if you get published, the journals don't last long. It's basically because nobody's reading them.
Right.
And,
right. The only people reading it were the people I bought it for and gave it out to point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't have copies anymore. Neither do I.
Yeah. Right.
I can't find it. I moved like 4 times since then.
Yeah. I do like.
I hear you, buddy.
Yeah. I do like writing short stories, and I still will continue to write them. And this is actually what the comic's based on, is a flash fiction.
I was going to ask you that. This sounds like a story that you converted into a comic.
It is, yeah. So it originally was a flash fiction piece that was published several years ago. And there's an aspect of it that I liked, and so I developed that aspect into a longer short story. And I was trying to get that published and moving it around places, but it was too long of a story to get published in a lot of places. And it being a horror story, that's even a little bit more difficult to get published. I even had some horror journals say like, "Oh, this is like too violent," and
oh, really?
And some of them said like, "Oh, there's too much swearing in it and stuff," which there isn't, but they were like, "We don't want swear words in our journal." It's like, all right. So that was just kind of like a runaround.
It's okay. Flesh-eating zombies is fine, but just don't while you're getting bitten.
Well, then I'd like take a closer look at these journals, and they're looking for like Agatha Christie kind of stuff. And so
I got you.
It's like, you're not really a horror journal. You're just like an old lady's journal.
There's an H.P. Lovecraft horror magazine called Strange Eons that comes out I couldn't even tell you, but they're always looking for horror. And
Okay.
they don't care what. I mean, they care obviously, but they don't care.
Yeah.
Nudity, graphic. It's horror. It's not Agatha Christie horror. Strange Eons, like Aeons.
Okay. And
yeah. Who I just don't curse on this because I always flatter myself that somebody's watching me with their kids, like a kid.
No, that's great. And this
F doesn't like swearing. I when this camera comes off, I swear like you wouldn't believe. But
And that being said, this isn't like a book full of swears, and
I know. Yes,
violent.
Yeah, I saw your face getting a little nervous. I don't want to present you.
No. Yeah. So that's why I thought it was funny though too, because I was just like, well, it's actually not that violent. It's maybe a couple like cuss words at best, So it's whatever.
Yeah, but I had a comic. Well, my first and only comic so far is Heroic Tales #1, and I say it's a Bronze Age return to superheroes, but there's a shocking scene in it.
Yeah,
and a couple of people got on my case, like you said this
was
like Bronze Age, and I'm like, have you read Bronze Age comics? The Punisher was kicking open Connex boxes, and there was like captured people. So the less I said that about the better. But like, there was shocking stuff in the '80s in comics. We kind of tamed a little bit. But anyway, I'm an older guy. I remember Gremlins came out. And kids were screaming, and I thought that was great. Empire Strikes Back was terrifying when I was a kid. We loved it. But anyway, I'm derailing your whole conversation.
Well, no.
So the dirty. The one thing you haven't mentioned is the name of your comic: The Dirty, the Filthy, and the Dead. That's the name of the title.
Correct. Yeah.
And how many pages is it going to be?
How many pages?
Yeah,
22. At least the first issue. The second issue probably about the same, but maybe hopefully I get to 3 and 4. I'll hopefully combine the two.
Okay.
Just to give readers something a little longer. But
is this a finite story?
Yeah. Once the four issues are out, it'll be done. So it's a mini series. And so you'll get a complete story out of it because it's the story, the longer short story I wrote is about a 7,500 word story, and so I'm just cutting that into 4 parts.
Okay. Yeah. And this is so again you wrote a lot of short stories. You're converting this into a script. Do you find that difficult to turn all your words into a because you got to give up a lot of like imagination to the artist, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to trust your artist, because
correct.
There's a zombie over here with blood dripping down, but what he draws and what you imagine could be different things. And I find a lot of people who write prose as opposed to comics, they have a little difficulty because the artist, they take 50% of the imagination, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if I was paying the guy, $2,000 a page, then I would expect it to look exactly as I imagined it. But I'm not paying him that well, so I realize there's kind of a working teamwork going on there. And he is though, like so the artist I'm working with, his name is Miguel. He's been I'm happy to find him because it actually took me a while.
Yeah, it's hard
to find him. Yeah,
and some guys you pay them and you never see them again.
Yeah, no.
3 pages and then they're gone. It hasn't happened to me, but I've heard horror stories from other people. I've been very fortunate with the guys I work with, and
I haven't been ripped off, but I have been kind of given the rigmarole. I've been kind of, I'll do it. Yeah, I won't do it. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I won't do it. And so that I had a lot of back and forth like that with a few people, which took time. And so it was more about just the time and finding, hooking up with Miguel. There's definitely a couple of people where I got a couple pages out of them, and they're like, oh, I realize I don't have the time to do this. I got to kind of work on my own stuff. And it's just like, well, I just got 2 pages out of you. What do I do with those pages now? So it was more of that was more of a pain in the butt.
Somebody finds a better gig halfway through your book.
Yeah, right. And so luckily Miguel, he's been reliable. He's been really easy to work with. He's been taking the suggestions, and I think, he has pretty similar taste, I think, in terms of horror and what he's into. So I think that helps. I think he has a lot of similar interests. I think that's really good. And I gave him the short story. I gave him everything, the full script.
Yeah.
I didn't hide anything from him because I don't know if anyone's going to really take my ideas and run with it. Like I'm having a hard enough time running with the ideas. I don't think anyone else is going to.
I know what you, because you want everybody to be surprised or whatever, but my comic is Heroic Tales, and I'm working with Renzo Rodriguez, and that's who I want to work with till I can't, until either we don't sell anymore or whatever. So I was telling him yesterday, like, oh, I like this character. So whoa, what happened?
Sensor lights.
I explained like 12 issues of information about this particular character. I said, you can't tell anybody, because the way we're working, it's probably going to take a couple of years to get to that point. He goes, oh, no. But I thought it would be good for him to draw, because this character knows something. I'm trying not to spoil it. This character knows something or whatever that could give a little bit of cool emotion. So I understand what you want to give everything to the writer and then just hope, you give everything to the writer and then you don't see from 6. This story looks remarkably similar. But
yeah. I mean, I guess that could happen, but hey, like at this point, if someone took my idea and made $1 million, like I'll be happy to sue them. That'd probably be a good thing for me at this point. So,
so are you a longtime comic book fan?
I am, yeah. So I mean, I'm at the age where I was one of those kids who was part of the '90s boom. So I was in middle school. I was a junior high at the time when I started collecting at the time. Kind of like you do the clobbering time. So I used to,
you watch my channel, cool.
Yeah, so I used to be in middle school with my best friend, and he'd sit in front of me, and we'd write down all characters like this guy versus this guy versus this guy, and he'd pass the paper back to me, and I'd circle who would win that fight. We'd do that during class all day long.
Goofing off during class. It's American pastime.
Yeah. And
so what comics did you get into? You said you started in the '90s. What were some of your first comics? Your first books in comic books.
Not any of the good stuff, unfortunately. I kind of collected all like the D-list characters, like Darkhawk, New Warriors, Sleepwalker.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I like it now. Actually, like I was kind of re-looking at it not too long ago. I was like, oh, this is better than I remember it being.
It's funny because a lot of people, like you said, the D-list characters, but a lot of people got into like Darkhawk and the New Warrior because it started in the '90s. A lot of kids this. I'm older than you, and I got into Spider-Man, but I dropped collecting Amazing Spider-Man when Spectacular Spider-Man, because I got it on issue 1.
Oh yeah.
And that means, so I can see why Marvel restarts, but now they're going crazy restarting with issue number 1 all the time.
It doesn't even make sense at this point.
Like, you were there when Darkhawk 1 came out. That's your boy. That's your home team that you root for. Like my nephew likes why can't I think of the team? The New Jersey Devils, because he moved to New Jersey just as the team formed, and he's like, "That's my team."
Yeah,
makes sense.
And all the Image stuff had been coming out, and some of the Valiant stuff, and so I was collecting that stuff at the time as well.
Yeah, I never got into the Valiant stuff, and everybody told me how good it was, and I'm too shy because I know me. I'd have to get everything, so I'm resisting buying it.
Well, I mean, it's all in dollar bins of 50-cent bins, so it wouldn't cost you too much.
It wouldn't cost too much. I had a coworker who had everything that Valiant put out, and he just lost interest in comics. And he was like, "Yeah, $200." I was like, "I'll drive to your house and I'll pick it up." And then he sold it on eBay for $300. I was like, "Thanks a lot." Thanks a lot. I'm your coworker, you jerk. Anyway, let's talk about your comic. I could get in the weeds. So, I'm looking at the title again. The Dirty, the Filthy, and the Dead. You said this is a horror. And so what is it like an anthology? You said there's like stories of all of the. So I'm like a creep show, A
little bit. So what happens is like all these characters meet at this class reunion that none of them actually planned. And when they show up, kind of, things go awry. There's this MC who kind of appears at the end of issue 1. And he becomes kind of the kind of puppet master who kind of, controls what's going on. He's kind of the smart alecky guy who, where some of the comedy comes from. But while they're actually at the reunion, he puts on these sort of stage plays that kind of represent their past sins and what they did as young people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so there is a little bit where there are kind of like stories within the story that take place while they're at the reunion. But as you get into like issue 3 and 4, you kind of see how the reunion came about, who was responsible for it, and who hired the guy.
Okay, I get it now. Okay. Yeah. So that, I don't know. That sounds scary already, that premise.
There's horror, but it's also kind of, a bit of, it's comedy too. So there is some, humor in it too. And I don't know, like I'm kind of inspired by like, these days, like books by like Charles Burns and Daniel Close.
Oh, those are good.
Yeah. So it's sort of like along, kind of like that stuff a little bit.
Oh, cool. Those good. Charles Burns is I don't want to say acquired taste. That's not the right, but like an eclectic taste. What was his big book? The Black Hole, right?
Black Hole. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
You don't see his, and I always associate him with Love and Rockets because I think they were both Fantagraphics.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I gotta read. It's been a long time since I read Black Hole, but I'm glad you said that. You just reminded me of somebody I haven't thought about in a long time.
Yeah.
And I, comics cred knowing that.
And I, my artist Miguel, he's like, well, if this doesn't work, you should try to, submit this to Fantagraphics. It's like, oh, we'll see, but it's a kind of a long shot. But I think even if the campaign doesn't work, I'm still gonna put it out myself. So.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, because we're about halfway through it, so the rest of the campaign is just to fund the rest of getting the other half of it completed.
Talking about like going to Fantagraphics, do you think like, is this the end now with Diamond Comics going under? Like, because my dream was to get my comic in the comic stores eventually down the road, but I don't know. We kind of hit a big road bump. I never liked Diamond. I always thought they were shady.
Yeah.
But what else is there?
It's fun. I don't know who the guy is. It might even be a guy you follow who just said that. It was he was calling it quits or something because of Diamond. Like his books wouldn't be in the shops now.
Oh, really? Yeah, this is going to sound awfully pretentious, but today I'm off. I spent the whole day working on a script. I'm so proud of myself.
Oh, nice. No,
the only reason why I stopped was like, oh my God, I got to talk with you a little
bit. No. Yeah, that's good. I don't know the business. Yeah.
I drag my feet when it comes to writing, and then the world could blow up all around me, and I have no clue what's going on. Like I absolute silence, no music, no TV. I turn my phone off, and you know what I mean. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh my God, it's been hours. Do you do that?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on like what I'm working on, because there's times where I'll go for months without writing anything, unfortunately, and then once like I actually like have the story down, then like I can pump it out.
Okay, this is interesting. Since it sounds like you and I had like, again, this sounds like I'm bragging, and it sounds like I'm but like since we both started out doing short stories, I wanted to write a novel. I wrote a Greek play. How pretentious does that sound? But do you get an idea and right away start typing away, or do you just let it percolate in your brain for a long time?
It percolates in my brain for a long, too long of a time, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I have stuff in my brain that's probably decades old that I still at some point would like to get on paper, but I've just been too. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not disciplined enough. I should probably have written way more stuff.
I'm definitely not disciplined enough, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I should have written probably 10 novels at this point, but I just haven't, Plus, as I get older, it feels like it's worse. When I was younger, I was pumping out more stuff, but unfortunately, like it wasn't as good. It's like now that I'm a better writer, I should be doing more stuff. But
in my teens and 20s, I was just going through old books. I got stacks and stacks, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I thought somebody was going to pay to read this. And now I almost don't start writing until I got everything worked out in my head. And like I have a long commute. I got an hour to work. I got an hour home, and I'll just sit there, low music on. I put on low music just because I don't want to hear other people talking and fighting and yelling. I have a bad anger problem about mass transit. So I'll just sit there with my eyes closed. I just go over the story, go over the story, go over the story. You know, like I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking, for like 2-3 months before I write the first word. And
Yeah,
I was wondering, is that a bad habit, or is that a good habit, or is every habit okay as long as
it's funny. I was pretty big. I still am, I guess, a big Woody Allen fan. But I've heard him say something where he'll let the story percolate in his brain for a long time, and then when he finally does write it, it'll just fire out immediately. You know,
Yeah.
so
DC Bill is shaming me, saying writers should write more. I'm a construction worker. I come home, I do all these things. I only write on Sundays. You know, just that's like the only day. Saturday I spend time with my wife, and then even Sundays I got stuff to do.
No, that's kind of the same here. It's almost impossible for me to get any writing done after work because I'm just so beat.
Oh, so you have a day job? Do you have? I don't try, but do you have kids, spouse? You know?
Yeah, no, I'm currently at my job right now. That's why I kind of keep looking to the left.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No one busts in on me. I'm like,
if you have to cut out or just pretend that you're working, yeah.
Yeah. I probably got another like 15 minutes, but
okay. I don't want you to get in trouble. I didn't realize.
Oh yeah, no, that's all right. But
what do you do if you don't mind me asking?
I'm a teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, after what's that?
What grade do you teach?
Oh, high school.
Oh, cool. How do you like that?
It's good. I mean, I teach special education, so I'm a special education teacher. So it's different from, if I was like a math teacher or a science teacher.
I wanted to be a college history professor. And
okay.
I teaching kindergarten for years.
Really?
And I was just bored. I took the first job that I could take it. When your head is filled with Roman history and Greek history and philosophy and stuff like that, and you're like, A is for apple. Can we move on? Did your kids get apple yet?
Yeah. But I mean, that requires a lot of energy though when they're that young.
Oh yeah, well that was 30 years ago.
Yeah. Even then though, I mean, they have little kids, and I can never do elementary. I gotta stick with the older kids.
Yeah.
There goes the light. Sorry about that. Oh, I gotta stand up. There we go.
That makes sense with the motion sensors.
Yeah.
So do you only write horror? Are you gonna write comedy? Are you gonna write superheroes? Are you gonna write anything else?
No, I mean, there is like one book I'd like to do after this, if this is successful, a one shot about basically another story I've written that was published about people in a nursing home, a retirement center that I like to do, that I think could probably just be a one shot, or at least a slightly longer comic, maybe about 30 pages or something. That's a comedy.
Okay.
But yeah.
It's funny because comedy and horror, to my way of thinking, I don't think I could write either one of them yet. I'm not good enough because they require timing. The comedy is all timing.
Yeah.
I'm finishing up my script for my third comic, and out of 3 comic scripts that I have, that artists are actually working on, I have one joke because I just find it's difficult to do comedy on paper and then give it to somebody else to draw. Okay. I guess if you're going to do a
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, we'll see if it turns out. I don't know, because I mean, I've written it. Like, I've been told like people like find my writing funny, but I don't know if it's going to translate into the comic. So, it could end up being flat. I don't know. I hope not.
Yeah, of course. And horror is timing also.
Yeah.
Especially with the page turn in the comics. I'm trying to get that.
Yeah, no, that's something I'm totally thinking about. So it's like, if I got this panel, what's the next panel going to look like, especially when turning the page? Yeah, so I'm always thinking about that. That's been an interesting thing to figure out, and translating it. But I think one reason though I moved into comics is because I've always been told my dialogue's good in my stories, and so I figured, well, comics is mostly dialogue with the writing. And so I just think, that made it a pretty easy transition, or hopefully, a good transition in terms of, because, I've always gotten good criticism about my dialogue and my writing in terms of what my characters' voices and stuff.
I try to read them out loud, while another reason why I don't want anybody around, because I must look like a maniac.
Yeah. Well, I mean, though, you watch any like videos or read any books about writing, and they'll tell you have to read it out loud because you want to know what it sounds like. So it's a good thing to do. Yeah.
I'm writing a script right now, and it's basically two comics mushed together. And I call it Love and Rockets meets Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh,
It's
okay.
funny because the scenes I was just writing is the guy is being asked to move. It's a 35-year-old comic book collector, and his father just told him, "You got to move out. I'm retiring. I'm moving to Florida."
Yeah.
And he's just like, it's like, oh, Dad, how could he's selfish and everything like that. And then you turn the page, and it's the superhero comic that he's reading, and it's like, you cannot stop. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like schizophrenic trying to write, two vastly different styles of dialogue, like on a page away from each other. I should, but it's.
I think that's kind of a good thing though for comics, because I think sometimes, like, especially with dialogue, even with the superhero ones, it can get a little bit stale, and especially with people's attention spans these days, you need to keep their attention going. So something like that sounds good in terms of keeping the reader's attention.
It's funny, you started reading, you said in the 90s, those read like novels compared to comics today.
Yeah.
Well, I take it back. The last couple of years at Marvel, you get one panel with the word balloon this big. But what do you think? Happy, like what would you stick in a panel? How many words? How many sentences?
Well, I'm kind of surprised that I've actually, at least with this first issue, it's not been as wordy as I thought it was going to be, especially it being the short story. I guess I am a very visual thinker. When I first started writing, I actually started writing screenplays.
Okay.
And so I started with screenplays, then moved on to short stories. And so doing the comic script is writing basically like a screenplay. And so it, all the sort of description part of the narrating part of the short story, it's like, well, this is just all the visual part of it.
Right.
And so, really the only thing that's being talked, is just the dialogue, is the words. And I realized, there's actually not as much dialogue in the story as I thought there was.
Yeah. How much dialogue is actually in a story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not as wordy as it.
Could you imagine Lord of the Rings only dialogue? It would probably be like 30 pages.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, like a Henry James novel, there'd be nothing. He just talks about, a staircase for 10 pages or something like that. So, yeah. You even look at like Alan Moore's books. I mean, I'm surprised like they're still popular because they're pretty, like word heavy compared to like a lot of stuff. But he's a good writer though. So
yeah. Have you read? Yeah. Right now, people are like, Alan Moore, I guess, has fallen from grace. I still love Alan Moore. I still love her. Yeah. Until we find out like Neil Gaiman. But so far,
he's not attached to any real scandals though right now.
No. Like I've been joking. I'm like, I can't.
Oh, okay.
And they find out that it's all an act, and he sits at home with train sets.
Yeah.
But you never know. But I love Alan Moore. Have you read From Hell?
Not the whole thing, and it was like years ago. But I've read pages of it.
Oh yeah, that is terrifying. Man, that it's the only comic to actually give me nightmares.
Yeah.
I remember waking up in the middle of the night, oh my God, it was something about Jack the Ripper scares me.
Yeah. But yeah, I like his Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
And Watchmen's good. I've tried his novels though, but I can't get into his novels.
I never read any of his novels.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Yeah. I wouldn't even. What did I get? He's got this new book now. Is this it? Yeah. Light of Thy Countenance. Alan Moore. This is his newest thing. I didn't read it yet.
Yeah.
I'll get to it. I just got to get this comic before I roll my chair over. Oh, I can't roll my chair on top of Spider-Man 23. Yeah. So, are you a collector? Do you still have boxes of comics at your house, or?
I do now. So my mom was very nice and kept most of my comics from the 90s, and so luckily, I've been able to ship some of them back because I used to live on the East Coast. Now I live on the West Coast.
Oh, where are the East Coast? I'm in New York.
I grew up in Rhode Island.
Okay.
Yeah. And I moved to Mid-Atlantic for a few years, DC and Maryland for a little bit, and then I moved out west. I'm in Portland, Oregon now. But I've been able to ship a lot of them back here now. And after COVID, I did start collecting again for maybe a year and a half. But now, like, I kind of stopped just because it was costing too much money and just things are tight. And it was just,
I know.
When I started recollecting, I was like spending $60 a week. And I was like, wait, this is way too much. Because I was sorry.
In 2015, I was spending $400 a month on comics.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't even liking half of them. It was more.
That was the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, because I was getting back into it. So I was reading all the new stuff coming out just to see what was going on. And then, like after, a few months, I was just like, do I really want to buy this new thing that I'm not likely going to, enjoy and spend $4? And so I started cutting down again. Then after a while, I just realized that I'm, not really digging a lot that's happening right now. But what I'm kind of after these days is like kind of old stuff that like a lot of the sci-fi writers wrote. Just recently I picked up this thing, Starstream #1, that has like, first, I guess, comic like adaptation of like John Campbell's like Who Goes There, which is The Thing.
Yep.
And so, and I guess there's like 4 other issues of that. So like I'm gonna look for those. And I, anything like Harlan Ellison did like in comics, like I usually pick up. So like that kind of stuff, like I still look for.
Yeah, classic sci-fi guys. I've been trying to get into the original sci-fi. I'm a slow reader. That's why I read comics. When I read a novel, I'll read a page, I'll put it down, think about it, read another. Mm-hmm. So it takes me forever to read a novel. People get a laugh. I'm almost done with this. I've been reading it for a month. Saw Doc Savage. I figure a comic book guy, I got to read the first Doc Savage, and I'm enjoying it. But I read like a page or 2 a day. That's not. And then I daydream and I think about it and I picture how it would look as a comic book. And then I read 6 comics and then I come back and read a page.
No, that's how I am these days. Cause I only read at night and it's usually right before I go to bed. But after,
book on your chest.
Yeah. After 2 pages, I'm about to fall asleep. I try to read during the day, like on the weekends, but life going on. I just don't,
Yeah, I'm off for a couple of weeks. So one of the things I do is I wake up before my wife and she works here. So I don't want to wake her up. So I'll sneak downstairs, make a pot of coffee, and I just read silently until she wakes up, So,
yeah.
So I'm actually getting a lot read now, but.
Nice. Yeah. The thing is trying not to pick up the phone. So if I don't pick up the phone, I should be picking up a book instead, but it's hard not picking up that phone.
Oh my God. My wife just did a month-long no social media.
Oh, nice.
And she didn't realize how hard it would be. She said, last night was the end of the month. And she's like, I kind of don't want to go back to social media. She's taken a class instead.
Oh,
she went online, she's taking a free class. She never went to college. So she's excited. I go upstairs. She's got her laptop out. She's taking notes. She's writing with a pen like a schoolgirl. She's like, I haven't written notes in years. She's all excited. She goes, I don't want to go back to me. I don't know. I'm addicted.
Yeah.
Like, I'm working. I got 2 seconds not to do something. I'm on my phone.
Yeah. Honestly, like, it's good and bad. But like before doing this comic, like I wasn't on any social media. YouTube was the only thing I ever used on my phone or computer. But like having like to promote and stuff, like, I got on X and I got on Blue Sky.
You have to, yeah.
Yeah. And now it's just like, I can't stop looking at this stupid thing.
I know. It's bad. It's good and it's bad.
It's cool because I have met some, cool people. Cause like, I know you were just talking to Crenshaw and Dio last weekend and I, met with them, talked with them too. And they're good guys. So, I would have never met them or, be talking to you right now either. So
for me, the good outweighed the bad. I was, without bringing up drama, but like 6 months ago, I was just fighting with people.
Oh, okay.
This way, this doesn't help me promote my comic. This doesn't help me feel good about comics. So I just cold turkey. Just, you want to insult me on the internet? Go ahead. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm trying to watch what I say and what I reply to because I'm like, wait a minute, I'm here to like promote a book and do my comics. And so it's like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to get into like something that's not involving the comic. And so, I'm trying to watch what I do and what I say. Not because like I'm afraid of getting canceled or anything like that.
I'm not afraid of getting canceled, but
I mean, I'm no one to cancel at this point, anyways. Right. But
well, I mean, a couple of people. I got a couple of people. Doesn't matter what I say, they just say something nasty.
Yeah.
And I would right away be like, "What's wrong with you?" And blah blah. And now I say, and now I notice I'm getting less and less and less of that. I guess they realize.
That's good.
You know.
Right. Yeah.
If you want a reaction, and if you don't react, it's not fun.
Yeah, don't take the bait. Yeah.
You teach at school. You got to have some kid that just goes like this to somebody. Like ignore them, and you're like, I can't ignore them. But when you ignore them, sooner or later that pest moves on to another target.
Yeah, all the students I work with, are pretty impacted kids.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So I mean, that is like something that takes a lot of understanding, and I deal with a lot of kind of behavior stuff. So I'm pretty used to it at this point.
You said you got to go soon, so and I keep seeing you looking over your shoulder.
Sorry.
No, I don't want anybody to get you. But this is a Kickstarter. This is not live yet. Anybody watching? This is, you click on this for notifications. It's almost like a sign up list.
It's gonna launch Saturday, February 1st.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just in a couple of days.
So a couple questions then. So it's a 22-page floppy comic. There's going to be 4 issues. And what's the price going to be for the comic?
Oh shoot! I think it's $7 for like the PFD digital, and I think 10 for the floppy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think
that's good. And
it's been a while since I looked at it. I gotta go. I'm working on it tomorrow just to kind of tune up everything.
It black and white?
Yes, yeah. It's because the whole time I kind of just had it in my head that it was just gonna be black and white.
Black and white.
Plus, it was hard to find just the illustrator, so I couldn't imagine like finding a colorist on top of it and everything else.
And it's a 4-issue series. And how
correct?
How often do you? So this is just for issue 1. So
yeah,
when do you think you'll be doing issue 2?
Well, I hope if this does go through, so it should be for about 30 days. And so if I do reach my goal, it's not too high of a goal. It's going to be $900. And so if it happens, I hope to get it out like maybe 2.5 months.
Oh, wow. That's quick.
Yeah. Because we're almost like halfway done, with it. So
that's good.
I'm hoping to just get it out there. And then the script for issue 2's complete. So then, just get working on that as soon as possible. And so hopefully, if this is, successful, then maybe by the fall, getting, issue 2 up and going with a campaign.
Cool. So forgive me if I missed, but when do you think people will start getting this?
So it'd probably end by, like March 2nd or so. So maybe by like end of May.
Okay. Because it usually takes like 3 weeks for you to get the money after Kickstarter.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm going to be making pages and stuff even during the campaign. I'm currently making pages.
I just don't want you to promise.
Oh yeah. No, that's true. Yeah.
You didn't get the money. Yeah. And then once you put the order in for printing, it usually takes like 3 weeks, just to give you a heads up.
Yeah. I mean, it could be like, late May, early June.
Hey, Crenshaw, how you doing? Good to see you. Yeah. We speak of the devil, right? You just mentioned him.
Yeah.
When he pops up. Yeah. There's so many steps that I didn't even know about when I was making a comic that I learned along the way. So.
No, I mean, I've already made a bunch of mistakes.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm sure I'm going to make a few more without a doubt.
Yeah, I made a few mistakes, but I think I'm eliminating them as I go,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to learn. But, I'll definitely like communicate with people if things don't, I'm sure I will hit bumps.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there are bumps in the road, I'll definitely, let people know what's going on.
Yeah. So anything else you want to say? I know you said you only want to talk for a half hour, and I could talk for 2 hours if everybody.
Yeah, no, I would love to talk longer. Yeah, I actually going to meet with the parent pretty soon, unfortunately. It's going to be a rough meeting, but no, I mean, hey, just hope, it should be a good comic. I think people will enjoy it, especially if like horror, comedy, David Lynchian kind of stuff. But yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, John.
No
like
problem.
I said,
like
thank you for
comics.
thank you for rescheduling. I appreciate that.
All right.
Yeah, cool. It's been fun.
Sign up, guys. Signing up doesn't mean you're committed to buying anything.
Yeah, no, right.
It just helps Kickstarter. They know, that there's interest in this. Kickstarter might put it in the magical algorithm to pump it out. So just help somebody out. So you launch Saturday. Cool.
Correct. Yeah.
Make sure you put on Twitter so I can repost it. And let people know that you're live. But all right.
Totally. All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
See you, everybody. Bye, everybody. And I will hit the end stream. Bye.
Okay. Thanks, John.
No problem.